We're going to convene this meeting of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Karen, are we broadcasting? All right, please take roll. Excuse. Oh, no, he's here. He's been here.
Yeah, but I got a question.
Senator Kinski is excused. Senator Steinmetz.
Here.
Chairman Perkins is excused. And Vice President Hicks,
Here.
you have a quorum.
We have a quorum. First bill for our consent. Oh, Mitch, go ahead, Senator.
Well, this is just a question. Senator Kinski left a proxy. We didn't adjourn, we left because of a fire drill, but we've just taken roll again. So I now anticipate and expect that his proxy, if we were to vote on this today, is still good. True or false?
True.
Thank you. Okay, let's go.
All right, so before the fire deal, we've been through the bill. What I'm going to do is open it up for public comment now. Public comment on the bill. Please state your name for the record.
Vice President
Please don't
Hicks.
incriminate yourself.
Try not to. Legislators first.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Dave Pickard. I represent DraftKings and FanDuel. We stand in support of House Bill 133 and appreciate the efforts that were undertaken by the sponsors in the House. Representative Walters did a really good job of walking through the bill. What I'd like to do is have Chris Cipol with DraftKings come online. Should be in the waiting room, and he'll offer some brief remarks and answer any questions that the committee might have as we go through.
Karen, could we let her in at this time?
Yes, sir, I have. We also have Director Moore from the Gaming Commission.
Okay.
His testimony was interrupted by the fire drill.
Okay,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I will certainly defer to Director Moore. He was in the process of describing a letter that he had sent to the committee, I think regarding the effective dates. And just for the record, we have not seen that letter, but we agree with the intent. If it's going to make the work of the commission more agreeable in their efforts to adopt the rules, we'd be happy with their amendment proposal.
all right, continue. Do we want Director Moore? Who do we have here that's going to testify now?
Chris Cipolla.
Okay, Chris, you've got the floor.
Good morning and thank you. My name is Chris Cipol and I'm the Director of Legal and Government Affairs at DraftKings. I'd like to first apologize to the committee for not being able to testify in person today, but appreciate the committee's willingness to accept virtual testimony. I'm here today to testify in support of House Bill 133, a comprehensive legislative proposal that will protect consumers and generate revenue for the state. Headquartered in Boston and launched in 2012, DraftKings is the only US-based vertically integrated sports wagering operator, and we are currently live with our sports wagering operation in 14 states. Today, 24 states and US territories, including neighboring Colorado, Montana, and South Dakota, have authorized some form of sports wagering. In addition, Nebraska, Kansas, and more than a dozen other states like Wyoming are considering sports wagering legislation this year. I'm happy to share some of our lessons learned thus far in these various jurisdictions in hopes of informing your consideration of a successful sports wagering framework. I would like to highlight some of the reasons we believe House Bill 133 puts Wyoming in the best position to succeed. The key reason is that it would legalize online sports wagering. It has become abundantly clear that consumers nationwide prefer the option of wagering using their personal internet-connected device, such as a mobile phone, tablet, or computer. States with a legal sports wagering market that allow mobile sports wagering options see the overwhelming majority of the wagering activity take place on phones or computers. Even before the pandemic, 85% of sports wagering activity in New Jersey took place through a mobile application or online. Nearly all sports wagers in Colorado, which went live in May 2020, are done online. And in Pennsylvania, online sports wagering eclipsed 88% in every calendar month of 2020. The legislation also has many other features that will ensure Wyoming is best positioned to succeed. It allows for a competitive mobile sports wagering market of qualified operators. The Gaming Commission is to issue no less than 5 permits to qualified gaming entities, all of which must be operating in a minimum of 3 United States jurisdictions. This ensures that no one will use Wyoming as a testing ground for an unproven offering, and that residents and visitors of Wyoming will be able to participate in the regulated market with established operators. The bill also implements a reasonable tax framework that is modeled after neighboring Colorado, who has seen more than $1.5 billion wagered since launching in May 2020. A reasonable tax rate recognizes that sports wagering is a low margin and highly volatile business and will help ensure operators can spend to attract consumers away from the thriving illegal market. There are also no unreasonable wagering restrictions. By not unreasonably restricting the permitted wagering offerings in statute, the Wyoming market is best positioned to compete with the illegal market. And most importantly, the bill places necessary safeguards to ensure no one under 18 years of age is able to place a wager, and creates a framework that will allow operators to implement appropriate, responsible gaming features. These consumer protections tools are just not a priority in today's existing illegal market. For all of the foregoing reasons, we believe that House Bill 133 creates a framework that best positions Wyoming for success. And before I conclude, Chairman Perkins earlier, when Representative Walters was presenting the bill, raised some really great and important questions around the regulated market. And I think that they highlight the importance of this bill and embracing the regulated market. Chairman Perkins asked about protection of player funds. Yeah, as a licensed and regulated operator, we segregate player funds to ensure that they're safely set aside and not mixed with operational funds. We are required to make sure that we have reserves in place to cover all of our outstanding liabilities, wagers that are pending. These safeguards aren't in place with the illegal market. As Representative Walters said, you can place a wager, you can win today currently with the illegal operators. And if they decide not to pay, there's no recourse. That's not the case with the regulated framework. Chairman Perkins also asked about compliance. And we, as a regulated operator, set internal controls, and the bill contemplates the establishment of internal controls, I believe on page 11, where we have to ensure the integrity and safety of our offering. Again, it's not a priority of the illegal market. And finally, Chairman Perkins asked about the responsible gaming tools. And we as licensed regulated operators make it a priority to make sure that our customers are aware of the responsible gaming tools that are in place, such as the ability to self-exclude, set cool down periods, as well as deposit and wagering limits. This can all be done through our application. These aren't priorities for the illegal market. So again, I think that this bill is important in that it helps provide consumer protections and also generates revenue for the state of Wyoming. I thank you again for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Thank you, Chris. Who do we have next? Doug? Representative Landon Brown, welcome.
Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, thank you very much. I am just here to strongly support this bill, and mainly for the consumer protection side of things, but secondarily for my constituents that contacted me earlier this summer when I started working on a draft about this particular bill, and I was notified that Representative Walters was already clearly down the path of getting this moving. But what I was learning from these constituents is they're driving down to Wellington, Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado, going and grabbing dinner, going and grabbing lunch, placing their bets, and then turning around and coming back up to Wyoming. And what I was really furious about on that is Colorado's taken all of our money. my neighbors, my constituents, they're going down to Colorado, they're placing their bets, and Colorado's taking that money and running away with it. So that was really, really frustrating to me that they were doing nothing illegal, but they were doing the only way that they found to be legal. Now, secondarily, you have the illegal market that's happening where people are using VPNs and everything else across the state where they don't have easy access to a border. And they're using these VPNs and they're doing these, and it's illegal and it's not regulated. So they have the opportunity to try to win, but boy, howdy, if they hit that massive jackpot and that company decides to not pay out, then we're sitting in a really sticky situation. So this bill fixes that, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman. And I think that, primarily what we need to do is focus on what our constituents are asking us to do. And our constituents have spoken, at least mine have spoken loud and clear on this particular bill, that they want to be able to do this in the safety and security, and they don't mind the regulation. In fact, they welcome it to make sure that their deposits are secure and they're taken care of. Mr. Chairman, I'll stand for any questions.
Committee, any questions for Representative Brown? Thank you. Anybody else like to testify?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'll be brief. Mike Mosier, Wyoming State Liquor Association. We support this legislation. Sports wagering is kind of an interesting cat because I'm sure we've had it ever since we've had sports, which has been a very long time. Now, the businesses that I represent, this is not a direct benefit to them because we don't get a cut. But on the other hand, I see an indirect benefit in that sense because it licenses, regulates, and creates a revenue stream from this wagering. Bear in mind, I have no doubt that all 50 states would have legal sports wagering, except for it took a Supreme Court case in 2018 to bring it to a head because everybody does it. Now, the mention was made about illegal sales, how to fence them out. I have no doubt that a fair market will get rid of those illegal sales. Some of us have been around for a while, and back in my old bar days, we used to have bookies that would go from bar to bar to bar to bar and little envelopes, and that's been going on for decades. And what if people have an alternative to do this legally and safely and above the board, they will do so. I have a group of friends that legally do sports wagering now, and they don't even drive all the way to Fort Collins. With lottery tickets, you had to. But in this case, it's 9 miles south. You just need to be over the state line. And the geofencing, as I understand, will allow you to do it. And any bordering state that legalizes it, which I think looks like most of them now, will allow that. Mr. Chairman, I won't belabor the point because I do not want this bill to have to go to another day. And so once again, we do support this legislation, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Mosier, committee? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else like to testify on the bill? I see we have Senator Wasserberger with us. Senator, would you like to testify on the bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick comment that I do support the bill, and I hope that the Senate Appropriations Committee can move this bill to the floor. It has been a situation where people are doing it anyway. They've been doing it for decades. And so I would urge your favorable vote on Senate File or House Bill 133. Thank you.
All right, we have some county commissioners here, gentlemen. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Willicks, President of the Wyoming County Commissioners Association, and with me, Bill Novotny, our Vice President. The commissioners didn't take a position on this bill in its current form, but we would come here and ask you to consider an amendment. As the gambling bills have moved through the legislature, there's always been a component that funds local government. This does fund some problem gambling through local government, but does not address some of the other issues or that it's a revenue stream that is available for local government. So as you look at page 16, and the $500,000 on line 12 and 13 that's directed to the state treasurer, if you follow the model of the lottery, 100% of the proceeds go to local government. The skills games has a little different allocation. But we do believe that as we look at these things happening in our local communities, it is more than problem gambling. It's county attorneys, it is jails. If you get to those issues, those are a local government issue that are dealt with at the local level. And so we would encourage an amendment that directs all or a portion of that funding to local government. probably not surprised by that request, but we're here to make that today. And I think Commissioner Novotny, do you have anything to add, if you may?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Bill Novotny. I do not, other than to just again reiterate the position that Mr. Willicks made, in that the rubber hits the road in the counties. And so if there is an instance of an issue that arises, it's going to fall on the counties. So it would make sense to enter into the same revenue share agreements that we've, whether it's skilled games or the lottery, to help offset the impacts that are going to happen in our communities. And I stand for any questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Senator Kinski.
why did you focus on page 16? That's the permit fees, as opposed to pages 20 to 21, which is the net revenue.
So, Mr. Chairman, Senator Kinski, the way I read the bill is the money on the other pages gets deposited into the holding account. And then when that holding account exceeds 500,000, it moves to the general fund. So I believe, and I could be corrected, the appropriate place is that page 16, line 12 and 13, because that's how it comes out of the commission's holding account into this treasury account of the state. The point you read, because I had to look at it a couple of times, that's telling them that they take the 10% and deposit it into the Gaming Commission's holding account, if I read it correctly, and I could be stand corrected, Senator.
I'm not sure. Do you have a proposed amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I have not written one, but I think the simplest and easiest one would be on line 13, excess of $500,000 to the state treasurer to be distributed to local government, and then let you make, if you follow the lottery example, to be distributed to local government via, I believe it's the revenue stream in each county. We could draft one if you wish. I don't know if I'm prepared to give it to you today in exact language.
Senator Hicks?
Go ahead.
And I missed the first part of it. I was in another meeting. Are we here on a re-referral, or are we the committee of
No,
origin?
we're the primary committee.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
have your way with the bill, Senator. Committee, any other questions? So if there's no questions, I've got a question. What are because the way I understand this, maybe correction, is you could actually do this online sports betting from home. Is that correct?
That's the way I
On
understand
your
it.
cell phone driving down the road or any other place. So I'm trying to figure out what the anticipated impacts to the county would be from somebody sitting at home on the internet doing online sports betting. How is that going to fill the jails up and increase the cost of the county?
So, Mr. Chairman, Senator Hicks, there's an enforcement component in this bill, and the people that enforcement are local government. The county attorney, the sheriff are those that deal with the enforcement at the local level. So if you violate the statute, you've got some enforcement at the local level. You also have impacts to local communities, and then I'll be honest, it's a revenue stream for local governments, as the other ones have been that this body has approved. You might have another one, Bill.
And speaking to that, Senator Hicks, when you look at community mental health services, which are typically going to be the folks that are going to provide some of those services to an individual who's in crisis, those are primarily funded by local government. So the nexus is there. It's a little bit different than going to the bar and pushing the button on the skilled machine. But when there are children involved or instances of crisis, it's going to fall upon the county. So it really does make sense to include us in the share of the revenue stream.
And well, I guess I am the chairman today. The follow-up question is that's why the 10% is there, is through the Department of Health to disperse that back to address that issue. So is there going to be an additional or above cost on what's already anticipated? The way I read the bill, that 10% out of that 500% pool then goes to the Department of Health and then is redistributed back out to those county health officers to deal with this issue that you just discussed.
Good, Mr. Chairman. Oh, here we go again, county health officers. I'm sure they just want to hear that in addition to a pandemic, you're also going to deal with problem gaming. I just think it would be more appropriate to use the tried and true formula that you already have for sharing of revenue rather than muddying that other pool of money and waters. And so I guess I would ask you to resist thinking that that's going to be the solution and slide in that nice little amendment that ensures that there is a share for city and county.
All right, thank you, committee. Any other questions for the witnesses? No more questions. Anybody else like to testify on the bill?
Mr. Chairman, if I just make a note, we're gonna, little over 10 minutes, we're gonna be leaving for the floor, and
And that's
I'd
why
like to.
close out public
Right,
testimony.
and so I'm just, it's an admonition to anybody here, if we want to get, we're happy to take more testimony and we can pick up the bill at a subsequent meeting, or we can get to the bill.
Any more public testimony? Representative Walters, would you like to finish us out?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would encourage your favorable consideration. And with that, if there's more questions, I'd gladly answer them.
All right, one last, any more public testimony? No more public testimony? Up, Karen, do we have somebody waiting?
Director Moore,
Yep.
his testimony was interrupted by the fire drill, and I believe he was going to explain an amendment that the Gaming Commission would like to put
And
forward.
that's in the letter that we got.
Yeah, so
That's
so
the
Director,
effective date.
Director Moore, my intent is to move your amendment to the bill. Would you like to have any more discussion on that? All right, thank you, Director Moore. Public comment is closed.
Move
Eddie,
the
what's your
bill.
favor? Bill's been moved in favor. Discussion? Any discussion, committee? Any proposed amendments?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Kinski,
I'd move the amendment as outlined in the letter of March 22, 2021 from the commission.
motion? Do I have a second?
So,
Discussion.
thank you, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yep.
As I understand that, and Director Moore, if you're there, what you're really looking for is we would move the rulemaking process. You're looking for 5 months after the effective date of the bill, when the bill becomes. So if we were to, on the effective date, if it were to become effective on the commission of all acts necessary for it to become law, you're looking for 5 months after that date?
Chairman Perkins, the way I submitted it was to completely delete the July 1st, 2021 and not put a stop date on there.
Well, I don't think we can do that, but what your main point concern is you get 5 month rulemaking process to get this done.
So,
Okay.
Senator Perkins, do you have a proposal?
Well, if you look at this, if you have, I mean, you could either do it with a hard date, but if you inserted the language we've already got the language this becomes effective upon except provided section B, this acts as effective July 1st of 2021. And so if we could, Mr. Chairman, could we go back to Representative Walters for just a second?
Go ahead.
How'd you like to see that play out, Representative Walters?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The purpose is to let the rulemaking abilities start immediately, and then the effective date of when they could start accepting applications from wagering company or wagering operators to be at a date currently set July 1. If the commission feels they need a little more time on the rulemaking side of it, obviously we have to have the rules in place before we can start allowing operators to apply for their permits. But if I was kind of assuming April 1st would be kind of when it's signed into law, just as a rough example. And so that July 1 gives them 90 days. But if they think they need 120 days or 150 days, we could move that from July 1 to say September 1. I don't think it's appropriate to leave an open-ended date there.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to move it to August 1st or September 1st of 2021, I think that would be the most appropriate way to address this concern.
So with
Mr.
that,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask for my second to, I'd change my motion to say, rather than striking not later than July 1, to say it not later than October 1.
July 1, probably, actually, should be September 1.
September 1, not later than September 1, 2021. And I don't know who the second on my motion was.
So if I can ask Director Moore, one of the issues here is not just this rulemaking for this bill, but you also have another, if Senate file, I believe 64 passes, you'll also be doing rulemaking for that. Is that correct, Charlie? We're just layering too much rulemaking on the commission all at one time. Is that your concern?
Yes, Senator Chairman Hicks, yes, that is some of the concern. And one of the biggest concerns we have is, there's two ways of going about the rule process. And we deal with a lot of rules, and so I'm very familiar with it. But we could go the regular way, which is the affording public comment, and that at best case scenario is a 5-month process. Again, best case scenario. But if the process was completely up to the agency, we do have other people that are involved in this. The AG's office to review the rules, the governor's office to obviously move the rules as well. With the emergency side of the rules, which wouldn't have a problem, there is the question, the agency makes the proposal. We are not the ones that are approving the rule to move forward in an emergency situation. So that is up to the governor's office and not us. And, not having control of the whole process is what is of concern for me.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, and Charlie was Director Moore's as we talk about that. But you do have, and you'll have to issue some emergency rules if you're going to start taking applications and getting this thing wound up. So you're going to have some emergency rules that will be in place and be a stopgap until you get through the rulemaking process. Is that correct?
There is that ability to do that, but again, what I consider an emergency maybe isn't an emergency on other people. So, and I can't control that part of it. So that's a lot of the concern. And the way the language is written is shall promulgate. Well, that doesn't give us much options if we go beyond that time.
So Director Moore, give us a date that will work for you. Does October 1st work for you?
That would work. Yes, I think that would work, sir.
So we've had a date certain that this is going to be done at that point in time.
I would hope that we would, and if not sooner.
I like September 1. I think there should always be a little bit of stretch in any goal. I think the agency is capable with the able assistance of the AGs to hit September 1.
So Director Moore, did you hear that? Sounds like you're going to get stuck with September 1 if I read Senator Kinski right. Can you make that work?
We will do our best to do that. You've got to understand too, I'm a little bit gun shy on things with the 60 days that we had to sticker and tag the skill games last year. So I am running a little gun shy. So that's part of my caution.
We like directors gun shy, the Appropriations Committee, Director Moore. Keeps you nimble.
Yes, well, thank you, Chairman Hicks. And also, just so you know, I've been reaching out to the sports wagering operators and vendors already to where we are preparing to tee this up as quickly as possible for you and the state.
All right, committee, we need to wrap this up. Charlie, anything else that you want to add to that?
No, sir, I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, we're back on the bill. All those in favor of Senator Kinski, could you please restate your amendment?
My amendment is that in section on page 24 and section 3, line 6, we change the date from July 1 to September 1.
And don't we need to match the one in section 4 also under subsection A, don't we? You don't want the act to be effective, so online gambling is up before the rules are ready, right? I think you need to do them both.
And also to modify line 12 to September 1.
Karen, do you have all that? Does your second concur? Second concurs. All those in favor of the amendment, Carrie, do you need a second?
Nope, I have the second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We're back on the bill. Karen,
Question on the bill.
call the roll.
Thank you. On House Bill 133 as amended, Senator Guru. Senator Kinsky.
Aye.
Senator Steinmetz. Senator Perkins.
Aye.
Vice President Hicks.
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 no.
Members of the committee,
And
thank you very
Senator
much. I'll
Brew,
be
I
down to
believe that's
present that
yours
on the floor.
Yeah, Phil Wasserberg, not screw this up.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.